One thing that I love doing is talking about a Xavier win over the University of Cincinnati. Obviously, I'm a Xavier fan. But this game, we had a few guests on. We had Rick Broering. We had Kenny Frease. We had Houdini from Chatterbox Bearcats on last week. And one thing that I continually asked them was what has changed in the weeks leading up to the college or the Crosstown Shootout that made it to the point where Xavier was going to be, at one point, a 2-point favorite over UC at home against Cintas, which would have blown everyone's mind if I told you that on November 10th when Xavier lost by 20 points to Santa Clara and followed that up with a big loss up there in Iowa. And Dayton, or UC had come off wins against Dayton, had played well, and several times obviously had that big exhibition win. I think it was a win over Michigan early on before the season started. And things had changed. You looked at that college Crosstown Shootout, and the talk had been all week. If Xavier's going to win, they're going to have to shoot lights out because they're going to chuck up a lot of threes, even though we know UC chucked up a lot of threes too. And what happened? Xavier did chuck up a lot of threes. They chucked up exactly 28 of them. And people are saying, well, if they're going to win, they're going to have to hit 40, 50%, hit 13 threes. They hit 6. 6 of 28 from 3. Oh, but Xavier, every time they beat UC, they always don't miss a single free throw. Well, how did Xavier shoot in the Crosstown Shootout from the charity stripe? 13 of 23, 57%. Not exactly a high mark. Oh, well, Xavier just plays a sound game of basketball more often than not. More so than UC. Well, one sound way is not letting second chances for your opponent. And what happened? UC crashed the boards hard. It 15 offensive rebounds to Xavier's 5. In fact, they had a myriad. They scored on second chance points throughout the game. And what was the conclusion? If I had told you all at 7 p.m. on Friday that Xavier was going to shoot 6 of 28 from 3, 11 from 23 or whatever it was, 13 of 23 from the charity stripe, and allow 15 offensive rebounds for the Bearcats, you would have said, and rightfully so, that the Bearcats blew them out on Cintas' home floor, on Xavier's home floor. But that's not what happened. Xavier wins 79-74 in the first year of Richard Pitino, with a roster that in terms of NIL collective is rumored to be spent half the money that UC has spent. I made this joke. I'm not going to do it here live on air because I don't know ball that much. But if you rank the top 10 best basketball players, the top 10 best athletes on the floor on Friday night, likely 7 of them would be from UC. UC has a talented roster. Xavier does not. Xavier is looking for the future. They realize that everything that happened with Sean Miller, bringing in Richard Pitino behind the 8 ball, you know what? This is going to be a rebuilding year and a building blocks year. And still, Xavier got it done on Friday night, despite everything going against them. Didn't make any threes, weren't good from the free throw line, didn't crash the boards. And, of course, it was because they had a hero, as they often do. Carroll, 30 points, his long locks flowing, saying all the right things in the postgame. He said, hey, this is my one chance to beat UC, and I beat them. Wound up, what was the final stat line there for Carroll? 30 points, 14 of 23, pretty much did it all. He was 1 from 6 from the free throw line and 1 from 5 from 3. And I can't shake anything. You want the takeaway? You want what I was feeling after watching that game? It wasn't, oh, this Xavier team is much better than we expected. No, I still think when seasons end, this team will be floating at best around 500. At best in the middle of the Big East, which is down this year. I don't think they're going to be talking about this team going to make a surprise run at the tournament. No. That wasn't the takeaway. The takeaway was that in a city that features such esteemed coaches as Scott Satterfield and Zach Taylor, that Wes Miller, might be the worst coach in the city. We've now been seeing it for 5 years. This UC, this Cincinnati Bearcats program, which is nationally renowned. You ask college basketball fans about UC, and they'll tell you the glory days of the 90s and even the Mick Cronin era where this team was consistently in the tournament, consistently a high seed. And here we are in year 5 of Wes Miller with potentially his best roster thus far. And yeah, going into Cintas Center is a tough thing. But you lose by 5 points to a Xavier team that, quite frankly, isn't very good. And where these aspirations, we set a benchmark for Wes Miller this year, is they got to get in the tournament and probably even win a game. And now you're looking at it like, what is this team's outlook going forward? They can still do all that. They still can. I mean, they play in the Big 12. They can get big wins, quad 1, quad 2, make a name for themselves. It's going to take a lot of upsets. But I don't think it's an outlandish take when you say what Wes Miller has. There's no one that's done less with more in this town than Wes Miller. Every year, we are led to believe that this team is uber talented, that Wes Miller has done another great job in the transfer portal, in the recruiting field, and he has. But when it comes to actually playing the game of basketball, it's pretty clear this team ain't up to snuff. It's pretty clear this team offensively is tone deaf. The post-game quote where they asked, why didn't you double-team Trey down in the post? Oh, we hadn't worked on it. Well, one, how do you not work on that? And two, just install it. Just do it. That's what good coaches do. They coach on the fly. 79-74, Xavier takes this one. Stone, as the diehard UC fan that you are, I know you talked about it a little bit on your show yesterday. But what was your big takeaway from this one? Because as I mentioned, the talk all week was Xavier's gonna shoot a lot. And they did. They shot 28 threes. They hit 6 of them. And if I would have told you before the game that Xavier's going to go 6 of 28 from 3, you would have said, well, that sounds like a blowout for the UC Bearcats. What was your takeaway from this one?
Bad coaching, or coaching mismatch, I should say. If you're a UC fan, you got to be worried about Pitino sticking around for a while because he's going to win several of these matchups because clearly the coaching advantage for now goes to Xavier. And also, why did UC want to get into that kind of a game, particularly early on? Is it always felt like, UC was playing from behind in this one, and their biggest advantage in this game was to get the ball into the post with Mustafa Cham and use some of that size and potentially get some easy baskets at the rim. And they weren't able to do that. And, sometimes they threw it into Cham, and he kind of showed some soft tendencies. He was falling all over the place. Spur was texting our chat like, this guy's so big, and he just keeps falling over all the time. So that didn't really make much sense to me. He has the ability to be a tougher physical guy. He didn't show that in the game in the Crosstown Shootout. And also, UC loves falling in love with the 3-ball, but they're not good at it at all. And It wasn't going in. And if you wanted to get in the 3-point shooting contest with Xavier, I mean, you were just digging your own grave at that point. And to your point, Xavier didn't even shoot the 3-ball particularly well, and they still were able to win the game. And it didn't look like UC was running much offense. They would just kind of take it down the floor, swing it around the perimeter a little bit. Oh, no, the shot clock's at 5. We had to chuck up a bad shot, and that's what they did. And no adjustments either from Wes Miller, right? This Trey Carroll guy, you knew he probably was going to be their best player, and he had to kind of go off in order to win this game for Xavier. You didn't think about throwing a second guy on him. And Wes said after the game, oh, we didn't really practice double-teaming guys in the post. One, why the heck haven't you practiced that? And two, I don't care. Throw a guy on him anyway. He's killing you for 30 points. So I thought it was a complete coaching mismatch. Thought the plan was horrible from UC as well. And more of the same as Xavier continues to dominate this rivalry.
Yeah, and another thing that just to show the improbability of what Xavier did on Friday night at home. We mentioned the three-point shooting, the free throw shooting. We mentioned the offensive boards. Xavier at one point was dominating this game at a 13-point lead. And what happens? Did they coast all the way to the end? No. UC stormed all the way back, took a lead in the winding minutes of the game. And still, despite losing a 13-point lead, Xavier still winds up on top. It is absolutely amazing that is even possible. It truly is. And like I said, I don't have high aspirations as a Xavier fan for the team this year. I don't think that anyone really does. They kind of circled one game, and they said, if you want this to be a successful season, you've got to win this one game in the first week of December at the Cintas Center, and they did exactly that. Anything extra is gravy. I mean, obviously, you can't be losing to DePaul twice, and you can't be at the bottom of the Big East. But they've already exceeded where the thought was this team was going to be this year. And it just continues to show what I've heard from UC fans now for a few years, and what has become so abundantly clear, and is that Wes Miller is unable to coach a team to live up to their level of talent. Take, once again, Xavier this year. What did Richard Pitino do? Started playing more small ball, having more guards on the floor, going to shoot more. That wasn't the way that they wanted to play at the beginning of the year, but that's what the team gave them, so that's what you've learned. And you've seen this with great coaching before. It's not what do you want to do, it's what the team is able to do. And what a Wes Miller coach team has been able to do, I'm not sure. Because it's not play great offense, even though every year he says, we're going to play fast, we're going to go up and down the floor. Now, they are a pretty good defensive team. And the stats that I showed you, other than letting Trey Carroll take over that game, holding Xavier, that isn't a great three-pointing shooting team, but they shoot a lot, holding them to 6 of 28. What was the defensive efficiency? One of the top in the league, in the country. So there's a lot of questions. And outside of a miracle run in the Big 12 this year, I saw someone put in the chat they're expected by Bart Torvik to win 6 games in the Big 12. Outside of, beating Houston and Kansas and having miraculous run in the Big 12 and making the tournament, I just don't know how it continues with Wes. It's not year 1 or 2, it's year 5. He's now lost to, I think, 3 different Xavier head coaches. Travis Steele, Sean Miller have gone on, and now the first year of Richard Pitino. And more often than not have had a better roster than Xavier. In a town, in college sports, obviously rivalries are king. And when you don't win the rivalry, even though you play 30 games throughout the year, when you don't win the rivalry, it's pretty telling. It's pretty telling. First chance, it was their chance to go back-to-back for the first time since 1995, 30 years. Unable to do it despite having the superior roster, despite having a coach that had been around the program for 5 years now, had more experience there. And despite coming off a win last year, think you'd have the momentum going your way. But Xavier wins 79-74.